has been provided to the Coast Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on December 7, 2017. A notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board of the Municipal Building.
We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you remain standing for a few moments for our troops and their families? Moment of silence. Terry Pierce. Oh, and Terry Pierce, resident of Belmar. She passed away this past week. Okay, thank you. Okay, workshop discussion. Acting Business Administrator. Okay.
Yes, the Borough Attorney advised that with Colleen Connolly's resignation, we don't need to do a resolution appointing an acting business administrator, that we just needed to make an announcement. So if you wanted to announce that, Drew.
Sure. Well, that's, okay, yeah. Because the horse is already out of the barn on that. How do I go about this there, Greg? Just make a motion that Drew
You
Heisman?
don't need a motion, you just announce the acting business administrator. It's just a matter of informing the public, you know, who's in charge of the borough, who they should be contacting.
Okay. To bring everybody up to speed then is, about 2 weeks ago, Colleen Connolly got another job offer, and she handed in her 2 weeks notice for of a resignation. So for the last 2 weeks of December, we needed to appoint an acting borough administrator, and it needed to be someone that was the head of a department. Is that correct, Greg?
That's correct.
And we felt that the best person for that role would be the Chief of Police, Drew Heisman. So I informed Drew, and he accepted at no extra compensation to act as the acting borough administrator for the final 2 weeks of December. Any discussion on that, or?
No, that's all.
Okay. And Drew, thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate it. Workshop discussion. That's it for. Is the GIF person here?
Yes.
Could you come up, sir, and kind of talk to us about the GIF?
Thank you. I'm Frank Kelly. I'm with Business and Governmental Insurance Agency, which is the insurance broker / risk manager assigned to your account, the Central Jersey. Every 3 years, it's required that every 3 years you have an opportunity, I should say, to reconsider your membership in the Central Jersey Joint Insurance Fund, which is part of the MEL system, which is in turn has about 2/3 of the towns in the state. And for due diligence, despite, I should say, very good experience to date with the Central GIF, but just in order to perform due diligence, we received permission from Colleen to go out to market and to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, so to speak. The consultation with Colleen determined that we should only go to GIFs that had some decent safety loss control qualifications. Central GIF definitely has done very good work with you folks on loss control over the years, as well as on claims for that matter. But we also suggested 3 other joint insurance funds: the Garden State Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, the Public Entity Joint Insurance Fund, and the statewide. Of the 3, we had told Colleen that statewide had a respectable loss control function. It was not on the par with the other 3. During the course of the negotiations, Garden State and Public Entity declined to participate based on the smaller size of Belmar relative to their other members. So we're down to statewide and Central. Central came back with a proposal that was essentially as expiring a 2% increase in cost. Statewide came back with a broadly similar plan The premium was lower, however, the upfront cost in 2019 was substantially higher. And that was impacted also by Central coming back and offering a $50,000, which is about 5/70, what's that, about 6-7% decrease from the original price, and a cash flow advantage on some other money that was owed. The upshot is that staying with Central, you'll be able to save in 2019 cash a little over $150,000. This is all laid out in an email that I sent to Colleen on the 12th, which I believe you all have received copies of. The coverages were broadly similar. There was an issue that we see with the statewide coverage form as regards employee practices liability, because they exclude civil rights violations. They maintain they would have no impact on the coverage, and also it might affect land use. And our attorney said, we're not sure that's true. So we see a potential coverage issue statewide. All things considered, our strong recommendation is that, as I wrote, that that Belmar stay with the Central Joint Insurance Fund for another 3-year term, and based on you signing up for the 3-year term, which is the standard commitment, by the way, for all GIFs in the state that I'm aware of, that you will receive the additional $50,000 discount and in the actual assessment, premium assessment, same thing. And that you will also receive the cash flow benefit in 2019, which brings your total cash advantage to over $150,000. I know that's a lot in a couple of 2 or 3 minutes, so if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
How many municipalities, and especially local ones, are in the Central Jersey Insurance Fund?
I have a representative fund with me. Amy, I believe.
There's 9 members in the Central Joint Insurance Fund. You are the only member for Monmouth County. Also in statewide. Statewide has a larger membership.
They're over 80.
They have a significantly larger membership, but they only have representation from one membership in Monmouth County as well. They are spread throughout the statewide Joint Insurance Fund. They go all the way down to Salem County, Suffolk County, and Bergen County. Central Joint Insurance Fund is limited to Middlesex County, Monmouth County, and Somerset County.
What are the advantages of being in a JIF as opposed to private insurance?
Well, GIFs were founded in the mid-'80s when there was a big insurance crisis. The commercial markets had kind of not figured out how to write municipalities, and as a result of bad experience, their prices went through the roof. Each JIF that was formed, starting with the various ones in the MEL system, which Central is part of, MEL stands for Municipal Excess Liability, have been able to greatly reduce the loss cost of the members of the JIF as compared to, say, a Travelers or a American Alternative or a Zurich or any of the other commercial carriers, because they specialize in municipal business. They specialize in controlling your losses. And that's a beautiful thing for 2 reasons. Number one, it brings down the cost of your insurance greatly, because the fewer losses you have, the less they need to cover you, make their profit, and keep everybody happy. But more importantly, fewer people are getting hurt. Fewer of your employees on the workers' comp side are getting hurt. The statistics are startling, and it's the MEL system has a great record in that. Do you have
Yes. My name is Amy Perroni. I'm the marketing manager for the Municipal Excess Liability JIF, as well as the Central Joint Insurance Fund, and I'm also a local Monmouth County resident. The advantage of being in a system where you have a greater population, I'm going to say probably 3/4 of the municipalities in the state of New Jersey are in the MEL Safety Institute. The loss control efforts there are by far superior than being in a standalone program. When we originally started that program, every 5 of 100 employees, for every 100 employees, 5 were getting hurt with regard to lost time accidents. We put together a very aggressive loss control and safety management program, and it is now under 1 employee per 100 that are suffering lost time claims and accidents. And that overall financially impacts the assessment that is associated with the municipality. So as costs of insurance and medical bills and things like that continue to increase, the more aggressive you are in a safety, in a committed safety and loss control program overall has a positive impact on your municipality and your dollars. It's not insurance dollars, it's loss fund dollars. The loss fund dollars are your dollars. They're taxpayer dollars. So, you want to make sure you're doing the very best that you can to maintain a safe working environment and a safe environment overall for your members of the public.
And it extends beyond the workers' comp as well. For instance, there's some great training through the MEL system and some of the other top-rated joint insurance funds
Right.
for law enforcement legal to keep you from getting sued, especially in the day and age when every policeman has a camera on him, or at least on his car or her car. There's, 4 retired police chiefs on you?
Yes.
Loss control effort?
Yes.
So you have the men in blue and women in blue talking to other people that have stood in the line of fire, and I think your GIFs and our GIFs have all
Yeah.
come.
It's a lot different than being in a standalone program, and like what Frank was basically saying, I do this also with my members every 3 years. We go to the private market to also try and secure quotes for our expiring members. And the problem is they don't have the program to put together to give to you at a respectable assessment for what it is that you're currently enjoying. They can't bundle everything together. So you're definitely at an advantage being in a risk-sharing organization.
Council members, any questions?
I like that we're saving money. That's fine with me.
I just got a few. I know all the shore towns are in the Monmouth County GIF. Is our experience modification rating, is that why we have to go to Central?
The reason that we had that, you've been in the central for many years, and they're all part of the same system, the municipal excess liability system. You've had some very good results in terms of your own loss control, your claims experience, and when there has been a claim, Central's handled it well. So when we spoke to Colleen, we suggested that if you're going to stay in the MEL, you're in a good place. So we did not go to Monmouth. There are some restrictions within the municipal as to can you go from one member GIF to another. I believe we could have.
There's a territorial courtesy situation where one municipal excess liability town is not permitted to bid on another town that is in the same excess pool. So there's a little bit of restriction there. That's why the risk managers went outside of the MEL system, because you're already in the MEL system. So you can't technically compete against yourselves.
What's the MEL system?
The MEL system is the municipal excess liability system, and that's where every local joint insurance fund purchases their excess insurance from. They are the statewide system for the organizations such as Central, Monmouth, Bergen GIF, South Bergen GIF, Morris GIF. A lot of those joint insurance funds, when they were set up countywide. When Monmouth GIF was set up, originally Belmar was not a member that chose to participate many, many years ago. And then had the opportunity when BGIA brought them to the Central GIF to participate in the system. So.
But if you're looking for price reductions, I mean,
There's
don't they bid on that?
No, because you're basically competing against another MEL organization, so your pricing would be the same if you stayed in Central as opposed to going into the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund.
But didn't you say you bid 3 different ones?
Yes, we need to clarify that. The mutual excess liability, the MEL, covers, I believe Mr. Grove said last year, something like 66, 67%.
Yeah, 70% of the towns in the state of New Jersey are in the MEL
are in that
system.
system. And that system provides the MEL's function. The central GIF covers your losses up to, say, $300,000 a loss. Your limits go to $20 million, I believe, and that portion up here is all covered by the MEL system. And they cover all of the joint insurance funds on the same terms in the single insurance package. The other 1/3 or so of the municipalities in the state, the great majority of those are in independent GIFs. That would include the Garden State and the Public Entity Joint Insurance Fund, which we approached, and also statewide. There are a few others, but frankly, we did not believe they had anything near an adequate loss control effort, and a couple of them were not financially secure. So we, or at least one of them. So we went to those three to get the competition, and we did succeed in getting a competitive price from statewide, which resulted in turn in Central saying, okay, long-term client, we will go ahead and reduce our price by about $50,000 out of a $709,000 assessment that they had originally offered. In addition, again, the cash flow benefit. They have also committed to me that when they look at next year's increase, and they've been very good about low increases, 2.5% type of increases per annum consistently, that the starting point next year would be the reduced assessment of $659,000 and change, rather than the $709 and change. So you can look forward to this benefit from the competition going on into next year and the third year, assuming no other major changes, which we don't expect to happen. So it looks as if you will have a very smooth 3 years. Again, God willing. Does that answer your question, or would you like me to go further?
No, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Jim?
Our dedicated borough employees are our most important asset here in Belmar. Could you just describe some highlights of your safety program that you have as part of your loss control efforts for employee training and supporting the borough employees?
We have we have a tremendous loss control program, and you do have very active participation. You do have members who show up to our executive safety committee meetings. We have 4 executive safety committee meetings a year, which requires membership and participation from each municipality. There we go over various initiatives that we want to, that the towns bring to us that say, we're having difficulty in getting training in this, or we'd like to see enhanced training in this exposure. And we bring that to the table and develop programs through our loss control administrator to enhance what it is that they're looking for. Along with enhancements in regulatory compliance, which are all on the Mel Safety Institute that can be achieved through webinars and videos. We do other programs. We've put together cyber liability task force to assist with the municipalities to make sure that their cyber safety is in place. We are very aggressive in employment practices liability and training and making sure that management and supervisors and employees are trained there. We do seasonal training, and we do the seasonal training at least 3 months before that season comes upon us, so that we know that everybody is up to date with regard to the seasonal training, such as things like anything that might be autumn or fall related. We do that training in the summertime to make sure that your employees that are responsible for that are on board with that. Your municipality has a very different exposure because you have a beachfront exposure, which our other members in the Central Joint Insurance Fund do not. But we dovetail with the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund, because even though you're not in the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund, because of the fact that you're a member of the Municipal Excess Liability Joint Insurance Fund, you can piggyback onto whatever training is also offered for them and their waterfront exposure training. So if there's any kind of beachfront, waterfront, additional things that are above what regulatory compliance would be for that exposure, you enjoy that as well. We have a recreation program that we put in place that has a 7-step criteria that we make sure that all of our recreation departments go through before they permit any seasonal camp counselors. Even if they're return camp counselors, they have to go through the program. And that program is things like, CPR, managing additional counselors, any kind of potential harassment with regard to those particular types of things. So there's a lot of opportunity there for a lot of training, and I have to say that Belmar does take advantage of the training. They have always come to the Executive Safety Committee meetings. I can't remember who shows up to the Executive Safety Committee meetings, but I think is it Ron? I don't remember, I can't, okay. And he's always there, he's always active, he's always participating. There's a lot of feedback because that Executive Safety Committee meeting is where we find out what's happening in, not at the administrator's level, but what's happening with the individual members who are doing the day-to-day work out in the field. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else?
All right,
Thank you very much.
Brian,
Mike?
I just want to ask a quick question, if I may. We are the ones that take care of the GIF, and we have no problem with Central Jersey. They've been very good. The people that come out are very professional, all great. Our problem goes to, we would like to see us go into Monmouth. We've asked it several times throughout the course of the last couple of years for several reasons. One, which is brought up here quickly. We go up to Woodbridge now, and we're dealing with towns that have nothing to do with Belmar. Not in size, not in beach, not in population, not in anything. Our problems are not their problems. The second thing is, anytime we have to go to these meetings, we have to go to Woodbridge, where people in Spring Lake, Avon, Wall Township, they all go to local areas where they're going. So again, for us to take off a full half day or 2/3 of a day to travel to Woodbridge, go up there, attend those meetings, with municipalities, we are way the smallest one. We are not anywhere close to anyone else in that Central Jersey. Again, I understand what you're saying about people don't want to give one up for one GIF to another. We belong in Monmouth. That's where we should be. We should be with the beach communities. We should be with some other small towns. When we go to the meetings, we should be talking about the same problems they're having, which we're having. Should not be we're dealing with Woodbridge, Edison, Newark. We should not be doing that, in my opinion. You obviously will do as you wish, but I'm just saying, from the worker standpoint, John's the one that handles it. It's John McGuire that goes to the meetings, and Rod McCann. The same feedback I get every time, every meeting that they go out to is it's great, but they're talking about problems they have in that type of a community rather than a short community. Just our opinion, and I've spoken to John about this before, would be we belong in Monmouth, GIF, not in Central Jersey.
What would the negatives be to switch over? Are there any negatives to the employees, the borough, finances, if we joined Monmouth? Or would it just be paperwork and it could be completed?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but I think that ship has sailed.
We can ask or see whatever, but the problem is that the membership filings are done every 3 years, and they're done every 3 years with regard to the Department of Insurance and the Department of Banking. So those particular filings are done with the commitments that are in place, like traditionally a few months prior to. So I don't know whether or not you can switch at this late in the game to move from one joint insurance fund to another MEL-affiliated joint insurance fund. I have to say I'm not 100% sure whether or not, what we can do to make a concession of this is we can probably have you guys participate in some of the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund training and those particular types of things as a bridge to help you if that's an opportunity there. Instead of, he's correct, the Joint Insurance Fund Executive Safety Committee meetings are held quarterly, and they're in Piscataway Municipal Building, in one of our members. So they do have to come up to Piscataway to do the training. To participate in the meetings. The training sessions vary throughout the state, throughout the membership locations. So sometimes we have them in South Amboy, sometimes we have them in Sayreville, sometimes we have them in Woodbridge. If it's a program where it's collectively done by both joint insurance funds, we can make sure that Belmar has the ability to participate in where Monmouth is, because it's the same loss control director. It's a different representative, because the representative that we have in Central is specific to us as opposed to the representative that is in Monmouth. But we can make sure, because you're all sharing the same training sessions, we can make sure that things that are regionally specific, that you participate in the Monmouth ones as opposed to the Central JIF ones,
Yeah,
and
I-
still get access or credit for
I
them.
just feel these are extremely valid reasons to
Absolutely.
switch, not to try to
Yeah,
make it a little
absolutely.
bit easier for training. So if we were to switch, what would the next steps be? Is it something that Mr. Kirschbaum or Chief Heisman can work with somebody in the short term to get that going?
As far as the switch goes, I do have to raise the red light. And the
Okay.
reason for that is that in order to get the reduced pricing from Central JIF, that's contingent on you signing up for the standard 3-year commitment, and so is the cash flow advantage. So in the event that we decided to switch, even though it's a different joint insurance fund within the system, and if Monmouth were able to match the terms and wanted to bring you in, which I see no reason why they wouldn't be interested, nonetheless, you're starting from a higher price point now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told specifically by the executive director that
Yeah.
the price differential and the cash flow advantage of $70,000+ in 2019.
The underlying layer is different. It's managed a little bit differently. So where your participation level and your loss fund dollars are that are allocated to the Central Joint Insurance Fund are different than how they are allocated in the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund. So we would have to see where we would be able to be at a starting point for Belmar.
Yeah.
But
If
we
we could
can,
do
we
that.
can investigate it. I would say don't leave any, do whatever you need to do with regard to taking action, because come January 1, you don't want to be not in any particular type of program. And let us work on whatever it is that we can work on the back end. And we'll make arrangements with regard to the training and that particular type of issue for the loss control efforts for the gentleman to be able to train with Monmouth until we work out the logistics, if it can be worked out. We can do that, absolutely.
Council members, there is a resolution on the consent agenda for the JIF today. If I'm hearing it correctly, it's wisest that we continue that where we have insurance.
Yeah.
God forbid something happens tomorrow and we're not covered.
Yes, I think we're in the 11th hour, probably these discussions should have happened about 2 months ago, but we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
If I may, on that point, we began discussions this year in early September, and this item did not come up. I'm sorry that didn't happen, but that we were not made aware of this preference.
I'm sure it didn't happen just this year. It's been, we've been, how many years have you been going up to Woodbridge?
Since I've got away.
Yeah,
So again,
So it's,
we have asked to move to Monmouth before.
okay. So, I appreciate you coming down here this morning. Great job. Very informative. I thank you.
Quite welcome, thank you.
Anybody else on the council you want to add, Ted?
Just a
Anything?
quick question to Mr. Campbell. Do you know what was kind of pushback, or what were reasons why we did not move in the past when it was recommended?
Yes.
Was it financial, was it?
No, the answer we have been given in the past, even from the gentleman that comes down, who's very professional, very nice guy, is pretty much what they touched on. If you're in one JIF already, they don't like you to move to the other because they're competing against each other. I get that, but originally, we should have been put in with shore towns. When we go there, it's not just the travel to the meeting, it's also the problems. You're not comparing apples and apples anymore. What Woodbridge has is an issue I do not have in Belmar. What Belmar has, they do not have. I'm compared more with Manasquan, Spring Lake, Avon, shore communities, shore problems, shore camps, shore everything. That's we go up there and we don't have the same thing in common. They're professional, they're good, I'm not complaining at all.
Absolutely.
I agree with the JIFs,
Understood,
but we do
100%.
not, we're not the same, we're
But-
different.
But it's not your decision which one we're in, is that correct? Like, I know that you're giving us the reasons and it's hard to switch and they don't want you moving, et cetera, but we're still able to?
I have to talk to the executive director of the MEP and see how we, so the executive director of the Central Joint Insurance Fund is different than the executive director of the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund. The meetings, like I said, are run a little bit different. It's a little bit kind of different in the underlying, and see whether or not we're able to move to massage that over from one joint insurance fund to another, to see whether or not we can make that work or not.
And maybe speak with the Monmouth one as too, Eddie, just to get it going, because I would think it's to their advantage to have us to be part of that, so, okay.
I'd be able to participate in the Monmouth trainings. Does that fit us better? I think it would be a good way for us to get in the door with them, start to make them aware of the fact that we want to be part of that group. I got to tell you, I'm very attracted to the fact that we're going to save money if we stay with Central. I mean, but I hear what you're saying. I would like to see what you think about.
I'm all
how
for
many-
saving money also, but again, to investigate it, to find out if the monies
Absolutely.
would be different, if it's the same, what's the starting points, I don't think
Right.
would hurt anybody.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree.
If it comes down to dollars and cents, and we stay here for the next 3 years, and then the next one, when you start that September one, we're gonna move it over and start with a different point
Yeah.
then.
And make
okay,
it clear
then.
that we're going to make the change.
At some point, we have to get back with whatever problems are after storms or whatever it's gonna be. We go up there and we discuss with people that,
They have no
we might as well be from a different planet, because they have no idea what we're dealing with.
Probably since you don't know, that's Michael Campbell, our superintendent of public works.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't just a resident standing up and talking.
No, understood, yeah, absolutely understood, and they do, you do get great participation at the safety breakfast and the safety incentive program. That's the other thing that is slightly different in the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund that is in the Central Joint Insurance Fund. We have a much different safety incentive program, so we tend to give back a little bit differently than the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund, so it's not a matter of, just looking at whether or not it's the same price, it's some of the other things overall. I represent towns that are in the Monmouth Joint Insurance Fund, I represent towns that are in the Central Joint Insurance Fund, I'm the executive, I'm the marketing manager for the MEL itself. So if there's a way that we can at least bridge this to keep them, keep some continuity going with them, with your guys and your workforce, and like I said, have them jump on board with the training, because the training basically gets funded all from the same, almost from the same location, okay? There's a certain amount of dollars that Central puts into the training, a certain amount of dollars that Monmouth puts into the training, but if you guys can jump on board with regard to the training in the Monmouth and be with the Spring Lake and the Avon and the Bradley beaches, and you jump on board there, then that would make absolute perfect sense, and we can make that happen.
Okay.
I can commit to that I can make that happen for you. And we'll approach the other one. I would just caution you to at least make some form of decision before 11:59 p.m. tonight.
Brian?
Yes, Mike.
Just my last thought, again, we've had no issue with them, so I don't want to say that at all. They've been professional, the gentleman comes down as professional. If she's making a commitment to make and she just said that, from what I understand, to make our training, our meetings, whatever it is, somewhere where we're discussing with the same people that have the same problems, I'm okay with that 3-year period then. As the mayor, you'll be able to address that, Mark, in the future. But again, since we're at the 11th hour and I don't want to be without insurance and I don't want to create issues, if she's making that commitment, she's meeting us more than halfway, I'm okay with that, as long as we can discuss. It's really discussing our problems with people with similar problems, so we can come up with similar solutions. That's all. They've been very professional. It's not about just the travel, although that is a problem. It's just when you go up there and you're
Understood.
dealing with
The exposure is
Woodbridge, they
different.
don't understand what the beach community
Right.
is. So again, if she's making that commitment, I'm good with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mark, you had anything more?
No, that's it.
Okay, thanks so much. Very informative. Moving on to petitions. Anybody in the audience with a petition? If you have one, step forward. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Jen?
I hereby request the approval of the minutes from the December 4th, 2018 meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Walker?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Reports of council. Jen?
Mayor, you touched on it, just to highlight, Terry Pierce did pass away this week. She was a Republican County committee woman, very dedicated to Belmar. She certainly loved this town. I've been advised that there will be no viewing or public funeral. I would just ask everybody to keep her and her family in your prayers.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have anything. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year.
Thank you. Me, yes?
Okay. I actually do have a report. I'm very excited that, as some people might have seen, we had another installation for our dune growing project by the boardwalk this time between 4th and 5th Avenue. Plans were put in. We had a consulting company, a little plant company run by Jason Austin, designed the layout, ordered the plans. Public Works installed them. That definitely saved us some labor money, so we were able to get more plants. And Public Works has done a great job. I've talked to Mike Campbell a couple of times about this. They've been very on board. They did a great job. And the planting is being supplemented by the dune grass that was ordered as part of the project for the outfall pipe down by Lake Como. That dune grass was ordered and paid for through the grant. But when we heard from the residents down at that end of town, they really didn't want to have to see that dune grass. They preferred, made it very clear that they preferred to have it planted the way it had been before with regular grass and some walkways, which we're going to do. But we were committed to purchasing that dune grass, and it was paid for with the grant. So we got 2 pallets, 3,500.
35,000 plants.
35,000.
35,000?
1,000, sorry, my mistake, 35,000 plugs. So they're going in all up and down, in every place we can find to put them in. One thing I wanted to make clear to some people that expressed some concern about whether the plants were alive or not. All the horticulturists will tell you that in the wintertime, there's such a thing as dormancy. I mean, leaves fall off your trees, leaves fall off your shrubs, your grass turns brown. That's basically what the condition is for some of these plants down there. I mean, we had the same thing last year when we planted by the 12th Avenue playground. They went in late, they looked like they weren't alive. We only lost 1 plant over the winter from that planting, and I'm very confident that we'll have the same kind of result down between 4th and 5th Avenue. The dune grass will definitely go in as many places as we can find to put it. They're definitely going to help build up that sand. I mean, sand piles up from the wind. Everybody can see it. It moves around, it piles up. The problem with that is there's nothing there to hold it in place. That's why you need the plant system with the root system that goes in there. What we want to do is, rather than just have dune grass, which can be problematic in certain situations, you want to mix it up with a variety of native mid-Atlantic beach plants. It's better for the ecosystem, it's better for the plant system. They all work together symbiotically, and the dunes will be even more secure. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I really want to thank Public Works for the great job, and looking forward to figuring out, we need to find a way to get some funding, and I'm going to be exploring that in the near future, grant opportunities, so we can get the money to do really basically up and down the beach and around the other playground areas. On a personal note, I wanted to say thank you to Councilwoman Nicolay and Mayor McGovern for their years of service, particularly after Sandy, all the work they did to help get the town back on its feet. And good job. Thank you very much.
Jen?
Yeah, it is my last council meeting. It's certainly bittersweet. My children are saying, yay, we've got our mom back. But I just wanted to touch on a few things. I could not have been happier or more humbled or more honored to be in this role. I want to thank Chief Heisman, Mike, Tommy, Tina. Everything you've done has been just part of this tremendous team we've had. Certainly Mayor Doherty. I want to thank Claire Dykey, past council president, who is still missed. Janice Keown Blackburn, Horsey Bryan, Tommy, the whole crew. But just wanted to touch on some things that were accomplished over the last 7 to 8 years. Things that I'll again just be proud to be a part of. Obviously, the no property tax has been a big impact to all the residents. Sandy recovery with the volunteer efforts was a big part of, you know, the recovery coming back. The new boardwalk, Taylor Pavilion, I just can't imagine the town not having those in place, so I'm glad that we fought hard for that. And they look beautiful, and they'll be there for many years to come. Outflow pipes, obviously keeping the town from flooding again. Restoring the marina, we've got 7 beautiful, brand-new playgrounds that my kids will continue to play on and have been playing on, and all the kids in town will take great advantage of. Summer camp's still going big and strong. We add at least 25 to 50 new kids each year. The youth club, thank you to Kendi, and keeping that going. Our beautiful community center, and very proud that there's no more brown water in the Rhode Island and the South End. But just, again, a great team that I'll always be proud to be part of, and I'll miss it, but I do get my family back, and I want to thank my husband as well, so, thank you.
Thank you. I don't really have much of a report. I've been away, I've been on vacation, unless you want to hear about my trip to Costa Rica, North Carolina. Okay, as the year comes to an end, on behalf of the Belmar residents, I need to thank the police department for a very safe year. Great job, Chief Heisman, Tommy Cox, Tina Scott, all your men and women on the police department. Thank you very much. Our DPW, under the supervision of Mike Campbell, John McGuire, Richie Nerrell, all the men. I'm always amazed at how much you guys can do. You can do anything, everything. You've just done a great job. Make sure you thank you guys for me. Next, I can't forget the fire department. The fire department, they're volunteers, and they come out all hours, all conditions, and they do a great job. This past year, under the direction of Chief Stephen Hines, we didn't have any major fires, which is great. This next year, though, I would strongly urge a big increase to the budget for the fire department. Right now it is somewhere around $63,000. I would love to see it double. They need it. The 3 firehouses, Goodwill, Hook and Ladder, and Union, they all need repair work. We need to get some new trucks and engines to keep our safety of those trucks leaving, going to a fire in, some of them are very old. Some of the 2 trucks in the Goodwill Firehouse are from the 1980s, okay? They're too old. And increasing the budget will get the fire safety equipment for our firemen that are volunteering. On tonight's consent agenda, we have 2 new firemen coming in. So we need to do that. We need to increase the morale of our fire department to encourage young people coming in so that they can come down, enjoy the social atmosphere of a nice firehouse. When there is a fire, the equipment, the engines, the trucks that they're taking out are in good condition, and the safety equipment when they go into a fire are up to par. So Jonathan Van Norman, he's the fire director. He's doing a good job. I know he's trying to get a grant for a new fire truck. We haven't gotten a new fire truck since 2012. The one before that was 2002. It's time to get a new fire truck. I can't forget the first aid. These guys, under the direction of Franny Hines, Jack Leonard, and Jack Leonard, you're still there, and you've had a very tough year, and you're still coming out. Really appreciate your efforts there, Jack. Jack, why don't you stand up and he's the president of the first aid. Thank you very much, Jack. And the best family in town are the Hines brothers. Ricky, Franny, stand up, please. Thanks so much for all you do for the fire department. You make Belmar a safer, great town to live in. So thank you so much. That's my report. We are moving on to something else now, right? Consent agenda.
Public session first.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
thank you so much.
Okay.
Right now, a public session for the consent agenda. If you have anything on the consent agenda, please step forward. Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public portion of the consent agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Is there anyone here that might want to pull that resolution for the renewal of the membership in Central Jersey Joint Insurance Fund? You know what, I'll make a motion to pull it, just so that on the vote, it's clear that all of us decide to continue it, okay? After that discussion, I want to make it certain that we all have a vote on.
We're gonna vote on it today then?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I don't think you have to pull it, I mean, we're all in favor, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, we have to.
You sure?
Yeah.
No, there's no- Okay. All right, I make a motion that all matters listed in the consent agenda be considered for routine, to be routine by the council, be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
yes.
Mayor McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
All right, seeing that there's no ordinances, I open it, the meeting to the public session. If you have anything you'd like to say, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, your address, and ask away. Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public portion to the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have to vote to close the meeting.
Now we have to vote to close the meeting. I make a motion to close today's meeting.
Second.
Aye. Happy New Year, everybody.